Some doors don't open to rooms. Some doors open to nightmares beyond the ordinary. The storm screamed across the empty highway, rain slashing like shards of glass against the windshield. Aaron Mercer gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, as lightning etched the twisted silhouette of the mountains ahead. Beside him, Tessa Rowan clutched her coat tighter, eyes wide, watching shadows move with the sway of the storm. Somewhere in the distance, a single flicker of light appeared, small, trembling, almost alive. It was a neon sign, pulsing faintly in the darkness. Black Hollow Inn, vacancy. The letters buzzed as if whispering their names. The road had brought them here, but the storm, it had chosen this moment to reveal the unusual, the impossible, the beyond the ordinary. Aaron slowed the car. The tires hissed on wet asphalt. "Do we stop?" he asked, voice tight. Tessa shook her head, though her heart raced like a drum. "I don't know. Something about it. It's calling us," she whispered. The inn loomed closer, crooked and silent, walls warped as if centuries of storms had bent it into this impossible shape. Even in the rain, its presence was commanding, almost sentient, pulling them into a story they could never have imagined. The headlights flickered across the peeling paint, the warped windows, the shadows that seemed to shift independently of the storm. This was no ordinary inn. Every corner, every creaking signboard whispered of the beyond the ordinary, of lives caught in loops of time and fear. And as Aaron reached for the door handle, a low hum vibrated from the very foundation, matching the pulse of their hearts. The air smelled of rain, of old wood, and of something watching. Tonight, the storm had delivered them here. Tonight, the ordinary world ended. And beyond this threshold, waiting silently, lay a tale beyond the ordinary, one that would trap them, test them, and reveal the shadows no one should ever see. "Some doors," Tessa said, her voice trembling, "don't just open to rooms. They open to something beyond the ordinary." And with that, the Black Hollow Inn swallowed them into its quiet, waiting darkness. The heavy door of their room clicked shut behind them, and the echo lingered like a final heartbeat. Aaron ran a hand along the cracked wallpaper, curling at the edges like ancient fingers, while Tessa's eyes traced the warped pattern of the floorboards. The room smelled of old rain, dust, and something darker, a shadow of memories not their own. A large mirror leaned against the wall, its surface trembling faintly, reflecting more than just their forms. Aaron's reflection seemed to linger a second longer than him, and Tessa's own shimmered with a pale, hollow light. Every object in the room felt alive. The chair groaned when touched, the curtains fluttered without wind, and a faint hum drifted from the floor, vibrating through their bones. They tried to settle, but the inn had begun its quiet ritual. Soft whispers curled around the edges of the room, calling names that were not theirs, yet somehow felt familiar. Aaron. Tessa. Shadows stretched along the walls, then retreated, only to return from angles that made no sense.
Every heartbeat felt amplified, echoing off invisible walls, carrying the weight of the beyond the ordinary into their chests. Then Tessa noticed it, a small cassette tape lying on the nightstand, dust-covered and labeled, "For the next guest." Aaron picked it up. The plastic felt warmer than it should, almost as if it had been waiting for them, alive and expectant. A corner cabinet revealed an old player, yellowed with time. With trembling hands, Aaron slid the tape in. Static hissed. A man's voice, broken and distant, emerged.
If you're hearing this, it means room number 9 isn't done yet. I came here long ago, and I never left. The tape crackled, whispering tales of previous guests, of storms, of doors that would not open, and mirrors that refused to obey. With every word, the room grew colder, the shadows denser, until Aaron and Tessa could feel the inn itself leaning closer, watching, listening, and waiting. Tessa whispered, clutching Aaron's arm, "This isn't just a room. It's alive. It remembers. It records everything." A floorboard creaked behind them. The whispering voices grew louder, overlapping, a chorus of unseen mouths murmuring fears they hadn't spoken, secrets they hadn't yet thought. The mirror rippled again, and for a fleeting second, the surface showed another couple, pale, terrified, trapped between the glass and reality. The tape ended, but the whispers did not. They seemed to seep from the very walls, wrapping around Aaron and Tessa like the storm outside had followed them inside, bringing the world beyond the ordinary into their very bones. And in that moment, they understood. The inn did not merely host guests, it fed on them, collecting every heartbeat, every thought, every fleeting breath of fear. Aaron swallowed, voice tight. "We're not alone here, and I don't think we ever will be." Tessa's eyes reflected the mirror's trembling surface, and she whispered, almost to herself, "Tonight, we will learn just how deep the shadows go, and what lies beyond the ordinary."
The door swung open, revealing a hallway that stretched farther than it should, twisting and bending like a serpent in the shadows. Aaron stepped forward cautiously, each footfall echoing against walls that seemed alive, breathing, waiting. The wallpaper curled at the edges, peeling like ancient skin, and beneath it, faint faces stared back, eyes hollow, mouths frozen mid-scream. Tessa reached out, fingertips grazing the wall. It was wet, cold, not paint or plaster, but skin, smooth, almost pulsing. A shiver ran through her spine, and she jerked back, gasping. "Aaron, do you see this? They're watching us." Aaron shook his head, trying to force reason into the creeping madness. "It's just old paint, reflections, our minds playing tricks, that's all." But the floorboards creaked under unseen weight, each step echoing with a presence that wasn't theirs. Shadows shifted in impossible angles, corners bending, doors appearing and vanishing in a blink. Every time Aaron looked ahead, the hallway seemed longer, more labyrinthine, as if the inn itself had decided to trap them in its skeletal corridors. Mirrors lined the walls, and at first they reflected only themselves, Aaron and Tessa, walking side by side. Then, in the glass, figures emerged behind them, past guests, pale and twisted, faces dripping with fear and despair.
They reached out silently, pressing palms against the glass, mouths moving but no sound escaping.
Tessa pressed closer to the mirror, intuition screaming louder than fear. Aaron, we're inside their memories. The inn isn't just a building, it's a collector. Every guest leaves a trace, and some never leave at all. Aaron swallowed hard, rational thought fraying at the edges. We need to keep moving. If we stop, it knows. It will. A cold gust cut him off, and the mirrors rippled like water, showing not just strangers, but distorted reflections of themselves, eyes hollow, smiles twisted, hands clawing for escape. The whispering returned, low and layered, voices overlapping. You can't leave. You are ours, beyond the ordinary. Tessa gripped Aaron's arm, heart hammering. It's not just the hallway. It's alive. It's aware. It's feeding on us. A door appeared ahead. Ordinary, wooden, inviting. They ran toward it, hope sparking in their chests. But as Aaron reached for the knob, it dissolved into mist, leaving only a blank wall, the faces of previous guests now staring at them, pleading silently. The hallway stretched again, infinite, a twisting cage of shadows and memories. Every step they took echoed in time, bouncing off walls that remembered every scream, every breath, every heartbeat of those who had walked before. And as they moved forward, the inn whispered one truth louder than any fear. Here, nothing is ordinary, and nothing will be forgotten.
Midnight struck, though no clock marked the hour. The hallway twisted once more, and a door that had never been there before yawned open, revealing a room bathed in candlelight. Aaron and Tessa exchanged a tense glance, footsteps hesitant, hearts hammering like war drums in the silent corridor. Inside, a dining table stretched luxuriously, impossibly long, and upon it lay a feast untouched by time, meats glistening, fruits gleaming, breads steaming, the aroma both inviting and uncanny. Silverware gleamed as though polished by invisible hands. Candles flickered in the draftless room, casting shadows that danced like old memories. Tessa's voice trembled. It shouldn't be here. Who set this? Aaron's hand hovered over a chair, but when he pulled it out, the table shifted subtly, as if rearranging itself to anticipate their arrival. It's alive, he whispered, disbelief clinging to his words. The candles dimmed, then reignited in unison, their flames trembling like hearts beating in rhythm with the room. Each time Aaron reached for a plate, it moved slightly farther just beyond reach. The silverware clicked into new positions, slicing through space without human touch. And then they saw them, reflections of past guests, seated at the table, faces pale and hollow, frozen in expressions of polite terror. Each guest repeated the motions of a dinner long ended, lifting forks, raising glasses, cutting invisible food, a silent, spectral ritual replayed through eternity. Tessa's hand gripped Aaron's arm. We're trapped. This room, it's a loop, a memory of every guest, every soul that came before us. Aaron's mind raced, searching for reason, for escape. It's a hallucination, a trick. The storm, the inn, maybe we... But as he spoke, the feast reset itself again. The same bread rose steaming from empty plates. Meat glistened. Fruit appeared as though freshly picked. Candles reignited without pause.
the whispers of past guests began softly, overlapping with the scraping of invisible forks on plates. Eat, stay, repeat. The room pressed closer. Shadows curled along the walls, creeping toward them, flickering like tongues of fire. Tessa's eyes reflected the dancing flames, catching glimpses of faces that weren't theirs, eyes desperate, mouths moving in silent pleas. Aaron's rationality began to crumble under the weight of the repeating ritual. "We can't just leave. It's watching every move," he said, voice tight. Tessa swallowed, heart pounding in sync with the room's pulse. "We need to remember who we are, or the loop, it will take us too. This is beyond the ordinary, Aaron. Nothing here is ordinary. Nothing we know, nothing we've lived matters here." The feast shimmered in uncanny perfection one last time, candles flickering in rhythm, silverware clinking softly, the shadows bowing in unison. And in that frozen, looping moment, Aaron and Tessa realized the inn did not merely trap bodies, it trapped time itself, folding their night into the eternal story of those who had come before. The room waited, patient, ritualistic, as though it knew the next guests would sit at the table unaware of the silent horror waiting for them. The hallway beyond the dining room stretched in unnatural angles, shadows curling as if alive, guiding them toward a chamber they had not seen before. A single mirror leaned against the far wall, tall and ancient, its frame carved with strange, looping symbols that seemed to shimmer in the dim light. Aaron's breath caught. Tessa's fingers trembled as they approached, the air growing colder with every step, carrying a scent of frost and old memories. The mirror's surface rippled like water disturbed by invisible hands. For a moment, it reflected only themselves, two travelers trapped in the inn's cruel labyrinths. Then the ripples deepened and the reflections shifted. Aaron saw himself older, gaunt, eyes hollow. Tessa's reflection twisted, lips moving silently, a scream trapped behind glass. Suddenly, a new figure emerged from the mirror, a woman, pale and ethereal. Amelia Pierce. Her hair flowed like smoke, her eyes hollow yet burning with urgency. Her lips moved in silent warning, gestures frantic, beckoning them closer, yet urging them back. The whispers of the inn swelled, echoing her silent pleas. "Do not forget. Do not disappear." Tessa reached out, fingertips grazing the cold surface. An endless chill shot through her arm, stretching into infinity, as though the mirror held not just their reflections, but the entirety of lost lives trapped in the inn's memory. Her heart pounded.
"Aaron, it's showing what happens if we leave. If we survive, what we'll lose."
Aaron's mind raced, rational thought clashing with instinct.
"It's a trick, a warning. We can't trust this."
But Amelia's eyes bore into them, silent yet screaming. She pointed, tracing gestures across the glass, a timeline of death, erasure, endless repetition. The mirror shimmered again, revealing corridors they had not seen, rooms that never existed, and countless versions of themselves, living, dying, vanishing. Tessa's gaze hardened. It's not just a mirror. It's a doorway, a witness, a record of everything this inn has claimed. Beyond the ordinary. This is beyond anything we've known. Aaron swallowed, trembling. "So, if we want to leave,
We might have to lose everything. Our memories, our past, who we were. The room pulsed with the weight of that knowledge. Shadows from the ceiling merged with their own, stretching and curling across the walls. The mirror's surface shimmered again, now showing only infinite darkness, a void filled with the echoes of those who had come before. Tessa reached out again, this time placing both hands flat on the glass. Cold spread like liquid through her chest, pulling her thoughts into a void where past and future were indistinguishable. She turned to Aaron, eyes wide and resolute. If we survive this, we survive only because we let go, only because we step beyond the ordinary, beyond ourselves. Aaron nodded slowly, understanding that escape demanded sacrifice, not of life, but of everything they once knew. The mirror's ripples slowed, settling into a black, endless surface that seemed to breathe along with them. For a heartbeat, the world outside their reflection ceased to exist. And then a whisper threaded through the shadows. The inn remembers, and it never forgives. A faint draft whispered through the hallway, carrying the scent of damp earth and rust. Tessa noticed a faint outline behind the tall bookshelf, a door hidden in plain sight, its edges warped by time itself. Aaron pushed it open slowly. The hinges groaned, echoing down the stairwell like a warning. They descended into a basement that seemed impossibly vast, stretching into darkness beyond the reach of their flashlights. Hundreds of clocks lined the walls, ticking in discordant rhythm. Every face frozen at 3:17 a.m., hands poised as if marking the exact moment life had slipped from those trapped within. The air hummed with temporal weight, heavy, oppressive, like the inn itself was holding its breath. Rows of tape reels lay on shelves, each labeled with the names of past guests. They trembled as they lifted a reel, and when it spun, a chorus of cries emerged, voices soaked in despair, echoes of the trapped, begging, screaming for help. Each reel replayed a fragment of horror. Doors closing on empty corridors, mirrors capturing lifeless reflections, dinners repeating in ghostly rhythm. Aaron's pulse pounded with the realization the inn did not just trap bodies, it trapped time, memories, lives. A soft, deliberate step echoed behind them. Marcus Hale emerged from the shadows, face calm, eyes knowing, voice quiet but heavy. One must remain. To leave, you must leave a memory behind. Everything you are, everything you know, some part must stay, or the inn will claim all. Tessa's fingers shook as she traced the cold metal face of a clock. Aaron, it's asking for something more than life. It's asking for us, for our past, our very selves. Aaron swallowed, dread pooling in his stomach. So, we can't just escape. We can't take everything. Someone must remain. The clocks ticked louder, overwhelming, a symphony of trapped hours and fractured minutes. The basement seemed alive, each pendulum swinging, pulling them closer to the infinite darkness beneath. Faces of past guests flickered across the walls, mouths opening in silent screams, eyes begging for release. Tessa reached for Aaron's hand, voice tight. We need to decide, and fast. The longer we wait, the more the inn will take from us. A tape reel fell from a shelf, spinning on the floor. A child's voice cried out, a whisper of innocence lost, repeating the words Aaron and Tessa feared most. "Do not forget, do not leave, do not escape." The inn's heartbeat seemed to resonate through the walls, through the clocks, through their very bones. Every second stretched into eternity, forcing the truth into their minds. To survive, they must sacrifice a memory, a moment, a part of themselves that would never return. And in that endless basement, surrounded by ticking faces frozen in time, Aaron and Tessa realized the weight of choice. Beyond the ordinary, beyond human comprehension, the inn demanded a cost, and it would not forgive hesitation.
The mirror waited, silent, cold, and impossibly deep, reflecting not just Aaron and Tessa, but every fear, every whisper, every shadow that had stalked them through the inn. Faces of past guests pressed against the glass from the other side, eyes hollow, mouths moving in silent pleas. They were echoes trapped in eternity, unable to move, unable to breathe beyond the reflective prison. Aaron reached out, but the surface rippled like liquid, responding to his touch as if aware of his heartbeat. The room trembled. Shadows coalesced into shapes, tall, twisting figures that pressed against reality itself, bending walls, swallowing corners, filling the air with cold dread. Tessa clutched Aaron's arm. "They're showing us, all of them, all who came before. Where next if we hesitate?" The whispers grew into a chorus, layered, overlapping, impossible to ignore. "Step, leave, remember, forget, beyond the ordinary." Horror tightened around them like chains. Every reflection in the mirror became distorted, stretching into grotesque parodies of themselves, faces of fear, loss, and despair. The shadows surged forward, pressing against the floorboards, the walls, the ceiling, threatening to collapse the very room into darkness. Aaron's mind raced. "We can't fight this. It's endless. We'll never escape if we stay." Tessa's voice was steady, though trembling with terror. "But if we step forward, if we enter, everything we've lived, everything we know might vanish. Our memories, our lives, our past."
They gazed into the mirror together, seeing not just themselves, but every choice, every moment that had brought them here. Time seemed to slow, folding in on itself. The storm outside faded to a whisper, replaced by the inn's heartbeat, slow, relentless, patient. And then, with a deep, synchronized breath, they made the choice. Hands entwined, they stepped forward. The mirror shivered like liquid, dark and endless, and slowly drew them in, swallowing them whole. The shadows dissolved, the whispers of past guests faded, and in that instant, Aaron and Tessa vanished from the world they had known, carried into a realm of silence and reflection. No footprints remained, no echoes lingered, only the faint, trembling shimmer of glass hinted at the souls now trapped, lost forever within the mirror's cold, eternal embrace. The surface rippled once, twice, then calmed, smooth and unbroken, reflecting only an empty room. The chill lifted, leaving only the faint scent of old wood in candles. Outside, the storm passed. Rain trickled against the windows like soft applause. The inn's hallway beyond the mirror returned to normal, yet the inn held its secrets, patient and eternal. Aaron and Tessa were gone, not trapped, not alive, but beyond the ordinary, beyond the reach of time,
erased from the world they knew. The inn waited, patient, silent, its corridors humming softly with the memories of those who might come next.
Dawn broke softly, but the black hollow inn remained shrouded in twilight. Its crooked walls, warped windows, and peeling paint looked ordinary once more. The neon sign flickered faintly, as if breathing, whispering secrets to anyone who dared approach. The hallways were silent, the clocks stilled, and the shadows vanished. Yet an air of expectancy lingered, thick and palpable. It was a quiet that carried the weight of countless lost nights, a stillness that reminded the world the inn never truly slept. A voice seemed to drift on the wind, gentle yet urgent. For those who travel lonely roads, beware. Some lights do not guide, they call. Some doors do not open, they trap. And some rooms, like room 9, hold more than your stay. They hold you beyond the ordinary. The wind carried the faint echo of laughter, whispers, and footsteps, the inn's memories pressing lightly against the walls, waiting for the next curious soul. If tonight's tale chilled you, if the shadows stirred something in your mind, remember, the world is larger than it seems. Some mysteries are eternal. Some horrors are unbelievable. Like, share, and subscribe, and step with us further into the unknown. Together, we will keep unlocking doors that lead beyond the ordinary.